Across the planet, there are places that look normal at first glance. A calm river channel, a wooded hillside, a stretch of quiet grassland. Yet something is missing. An animal that once lived there has slipped to the edge of existence. Extinction rarely arrives with a single dramatic moment. More often, numbers fall slowly, generation by generation, until a species exists only as a handful of scattered survivors. The world feels unchanged, but a sound, a shadow, a set of tracks has vanished. Today we discuss 7 animals that now stand beyond realistic hope of recovery. For each one, the remaining obstacles are not just biological but human: shrinking habitats, powerful illegal markets, and limited time and money. Many species can still be pulled back, but in conservation, time is the one thing that never comes back. These 7 show what it means to act only after the last warning signs. The first animal we are going to discuss today is the vaquita, a tiny, critically endangered porpoise that survives only in the wild northern Gulf of California. It is the smallest porpoise on Earth, with a dark ring around each eye and a shy, elusive way of moving through the cloudy water. Its entire world fits into a small patch of shallow sea, and that narrow range leaves it dangerously exposed to human activity. For decades, fishermen here have used fine-meshed gill nets to catch totoaba, a large fish whose swim bladder can sell for huge sums on the black market. Those nets hang like invisible curtains. When vaquitas run into them, they fight, twist, and drown within minutes. Today, only a handful remain, likely fewer than 10 living animals. Even strict bans on gill nets have not stopped illegal fishing. Captive breeding has failed, and vaquitas do not survive in tanks. One net set on one night in the wrong place could end the species forever. Where the vaquita is tiny, hidden, and clinging to life in a small patch of ocean, the second animal we are going to discuss is huge, unmistakable, and trapped on land: the northern white rhinoceros. Once these rhinos moved across parts of Central and East Africa, grazing in open grasslands and swampy clearings, but decades of heavy poaching for their horns, combined with war and habitat loss, drove their numbers down again and again. By the time strict protection and worldwide concern arrived, almost all were already gone. The last known male, Sudan, died in 2018, leaving only 2 females, Najin and Fatu, living under armed guard in a Kenyan sanctuary. Neither of them can carry a calf, so natural reproduction is no longer possible. Scientists are trying advanced methods like in vitro fertilization, using stored sperm and eggs, hoping to create embryos and place them in surrogate mothers from a related subspecies. But even if a few calves are born this way, they will grow up in fenced, guarded spaces, not in the wild landscapes their ancestors once shaped. After a rhino watched over by guards on dry savanna, the story shifts to a reptile hidden in murky water: the Yangtze giant soft-shell turtle. This huge turtle, with its flat, leathery shell and long, snorkel-like nose, once lived in large lakes and slow river channels in China and Vietnam. For decades, it was hunted for meat. Its eggs were collected, and its wetlands were drained, polluted, or cut apart by dams, leaving few survivors. Conservationists focused their hopes on a single elderly pair in captivity, trying natural breeding and later artificial insemination. Eggs were laid, but they never produced healthy hatchlings, and the last known captive female died during a reproductive procedure. A few turtles may still survive in turbid lakes, but if they do, they are old, scattered, and almost certainly alone. With no confirmed breeding pair and little intact habitat left, this species has slipped into a future where the last individuals are living fossils rather than founders of a new generation. Next is the baiji, the Yangtze River dolphin. A pale species, it lived not in the open ocean, but in a single busy river. This dolphin had tiny eyes and a long, narrow beak. It relied mainly on sound to find its way through the muddy water of the Yangtze in China. For thousands of years, it lived alongside small boats and riverside villages. But in the second half of the 20th century, the river changed faster than the dolphin could adapt. Ship traffic, dams, sand mining, pollution, overfishing, and accidental capture in fishing gear pushed numbers down. By the time rescue plans and surveys were organized, baiji were already very rare. In 2006, a team searched the river with visual and acoustic equipment and failed to find a single confirmed individual. Scientists then called the species functionally extinct. A few later reports remain unproven, and with no captive group to fall back on, there is no realistic path to recovery. From the river, we move to dense hills and forests, once ruled by the South China tiger. This tiger was smaller than its cousins, but powerful, with bold orange stripes and a place in local stories. It lived in the mountains and forests of southern China, hunting deer, wild pigs, and other prey. As human populations expanded, its habitat was cut down for farms, roads, and towns, and many tigers were killed as pests or hunted for their body parts. By the late 20th century, confirmed sightings in the wild had almost completely stopped. Today, the South China tiger is considered functionally extinct in the wild, with only a small number living in zoos and breeding centers. Most of these animals descend from just a few founders, which limits their genetic diversity. Even if enough cubs are born in captivity, there is little connected safe habitat left to release them, so a true wild comeback is extremely unlikely. Far to the south, in the rainforests of Southeast Asia, the Bornean rhinoceros has reached a similar dead end. This small rhino once lived in the dense, wet forests of Borneo, moving through the undergrowth and feeding on leaves and shoots. For many years, it faded away out of sight, as hunting, snares, and forest loss slowly removed animal after animal. By the time its situation was widely known, only a few scattered individuals remained, too far apart to find one another and breed. Malaysia captured the last known Bornean rhinos in its territory in a final attempt to start a breeding program. But the remaining males and females were old, infertile, or sick, and no calves survived. The last male in Malaysia died in 2019, followed by the last female the same year. A few rhinos may still survive in remote parts of Indonesian Borneo, but if they do, they are isolated, aging, and almost out of time. Unlike the heavy rhinos and stalking tigers already mentioned, the saola is a slim, secretive forest mammal, so rare that almost no one has ever seen it in the wild. Often called the Asian unicorn, it looks a little like a mix between an antelope and a goat, with smooth, almost straight horns and pale markings on its face. It lives in the steep, wet forests of the Annamite Mountains on the border of Laos and Vietnam, moving quietly along narrow trails under dense canopy. Instead of being hunted for trophies or specific body parts, the saola is caught in endless rows of simple wire snares set for general bushmeat. These cheap traps do not target any one animal. They catch almost anything that walks. As roads, logging camps, and small farms push deeper into the forest, more snares appear. Only a tiny number of saola are thought to remain, scattered and rarely recorded, and all past attempts to keep them in captivity have failed, leaving no safe backup population. All of these animals face different threats, but their stories follow the same shape. Conservation is always racing against time, money, and space, and for these 7, that race was lost. Their numbers fell so low that a single storm, a new disease, or one more snare could tip them over the edge. The places they depended on were reshaped into shipping lanes, farmland, roads, and towns, or turned into front lines for conflict and illegal trade. Technology arrived late, offering cloning, embryos, and artificial insemination to species that no longer had safe rivers or forests to return to. What they show us together is where the limits of our effort become visible. Species with tiny ranges, slow reproduction, or high value to humans are pushed towards extinction first, especially where laws are weak and enforcement is thin. Calling them impossible to save is not defeatism. It is a reminder that there is a point beyond which even our best tools cannot rebuild what has been lost. The real choice lies with the thousands of species that have not reached that point yet. Their window is still open, but it will not stay open by itself. Tell me in the comments which animal you think I missed, or which species you would like to see in a future video. Thanks for watching, and if you want more stories about animals we can't keep, can't save, and can't control, consider subscribing. I will see you in the next one.